Gyanakosha, Mahabharata, Bhishma Parva, Jambu Khandan Nirmana Parva, Bhishma Parva, Jambu Khanda Nirmana Parva. Om having bowed down to Narayana and Nara, the most exalted of male beings, and also to the goddess Saraswati, must the word Jaya be uttered? Janmejaya said, how did those heroes of the Kurus, the Pandavas, and the Somakshas, and the high-souled kings assemble together from various countries and fight? Vaishapana said, listen thou, O Lord of the earth, how those heroes, the Kurus, the Pandavas, and the Somakas, fought on the sacred plain of the Kurukshetra. Entering Kurukshetra, the Pandavas, endued with great might, along with the Somakas, advanced, desirous of victory against the Kauravas, accomplished in the study of the Vedas. All of them took great delight in battle, expectant of success in battle with the troops. They faced the fight. Beholding the standard top of Pritha's son, the high-souled son of Dhritarashtra, with a white umbrella held over his head, in the midst of 1,000 elephants and surrounded by his century of brothers, began with all the kings on his side to array his troops against the son of Pandu. Seeing Duryodhana, the Panchalas, who took delight in battle, were filled with joy and blew their loud sounding conches and cymbals of sweet sounds. A car warrior should have a car warrior for his anagost. He can, on the neck of the elephant, should have a similar combatant of his foe. A horse should be met by a horse and a foot soldier. O Bharata should be met by a foot soldier, guided by considerations of fitness, willingness, daring, and might. One should strike another giving notice. No one should strike another that is unprepared or panic struck, one engaged with another, one seeking quarter, one retreating, one whose weapon is rendered unfit, uncased in mail should never be struck. Cart drivers, animals, men engaged in the transport of weapons, players on drums and blowers of conches should never be struck. Having made these covenants, the Kurus and the Pandavas and the Somakas wondered much, gazing at each other, all having stationed their forces thus, those bulls among men, those high-souled ones with their troops, became glad at heart, their joy being reflected on their countenances. Vaisapanya said, seeing them, the two armies standing on the east and the west of the fierce battle that was impending, the holy Rishi Vyasa, the son of Satyavati, the foremost of all persons acquainted with the Vedas, that grandsire of the Bharatas, conversant with the past, the present, and the future, and beholding everything as if it were present before his eyes, said these words in private unto the royal son of Vichitravirya, who was then distressed and giving way to sorrow, reflecting on the evil policy of his sons. Vyasa said, O king, thy sons and the other monarchs have their hour arrived. Mustered in battle, they will kill one another. O Bharata, their hour having come, they will all perish, bearing in mind the changes brought on by time. Do not yield thy heart to grief. O king, if thou wish to see them fighting in battle, I will, O son, grant thee vision. Behold the battle. Dhritarashtra said, O best of regenerate Rishi, I like not to behold the slaughter of kinsmen. I shall, however, through thy potency, hear of this battle minutely. Vaisampanya continued. Upon his not wishing to see the battle but wishing to hear of it, Vyasa, that lord of boons, gave a boon to Sanjaya. This Sanjaya, O king, will describe the battle to thee. Nothing in the whole battle will be beyond this one's eyes. Endued, O king, with celestial vision, Sanjaya will narrate the battle to thee. He will have knowledge of everything, manifest or concealed, happening by day or by night, even that which is thought of in the mind. Sanjaya shall know everything. Weapons will not cut him, and exertion will not fatigue him. This son of Gavalagani will come out of the battle with life. As regards myself, O bull of Bharata's race, the fame of these Kurus, as also of the Pandavas, I will spread. Do not grieve, this is destiny. O tiger among men, it behoveth thee not to give way to grief. It is not capable of being prevented. As regards victory, it is there where righteousness is. Vaisampayana continued, that highly blessed and holy grandchild of the Kurus, having said so, once more addressed Dhritarashtra and said, great will the slaughter be, O monarch, in this battle. I see here also numerous omens indicative of terror, hawks and vultures, and crows and herons, together with cranes, are alighting on the tops of trees and gathering in flocks. These birds, delighted at the prospect of battle, are looking down on the field before them. Carnivorous beasts will feed on the flesh of elephants and steeds. Fierce herons, forbidding terror and uttering merciless cries, are wheeling across the center towards the southern region. In both the twilight prior and posterior, I daily behold, O Bharata, the sun during his rising and setting, to be covered by headless trunks, tricolored clouds with their extremities, white and red and necks black, charged with lightning, and resembling marks in the figure, envelop the sun in both twilights. I have seen the sun, the moon, and the stars to be all blazing. No difference in their aspect is to be noted in the evening. I have seen this all day and all night. All this forbids fear. On even the 15th night of the lighted fortnight in the month of Kartika, the moon, divested of splendor, became invisible, or of the hue of fire, the firmament being of the hue of the lotus. O Bharata, shower dust and flesh. She, O king, who is celebrated over the three worlds and is applauded by the virtuous, even that constellation, Arundhati, keepeth her lord Vasistha on her back. The planet Sunny also, O king, appeareth afflicting the constellation Rohini. The sign of the deer in the moon hath deviated from its usual position. A great terror is indicated. Even though the sky is cloudless, a terrible roar is heard there. The animals are all weeping and their tears are falling fast. Vyasa said, asses are taking births in time. Some are having sexual pleasure with mothers. The trees in the forests are exhibiting unseasonable flowers and fruits. Women quick with child and even those that are not so are giving birth to monsters. Carnivorous beasts mingling with carnivorous birds are feeding together. Ill-omented beasts, some having 3 horns, some with 4 eyes, some with 5 legs, some with 2 sexual organs, some with 2 heads, some with 2 tails, some having fierce teeth, are being born and with mouths wide open are uttering unholy cries. Horses with 3 legs furnished with crests having 4 teeth and endued with horns are also being born. The constellation Dhruva, blazing fiercely, wheeleth towards the right. Both the moon and the sun are afflicting Rohini. The fierce planet Rahu hath taken up its position between the constellations. The hue of weapons and the water, as also of coats of mail and standards, is like that of fire. A great slaughter will take place in this battle. O Bharata of the Kurus with the Pandavas, the earth, O monarch, will be a river of blood with the standards of warriors as its rafts. Animals and birds, all sides with mouths blazing like fire, uttering fierce cries, and displaying these evil omens are forbidding terrible consequences. All this beget a war characterized by many sad incidents. The constellations are divided into three classes. Upon one or another of each class, a planet of evil omen has shed its influence, forbidding terrible dangers. Vaisabhana continued. Hearing these words of his father, Dhritarashtra said, I think all this hath been ordained of old. A great slaughter of human beings will take place. If the kings die in the battle observing the duties of Kshatriya order, they will then, attaining to the regions reserved for heroes, obtain only happiness. These tigers among men, casting away their lives in great battle, will win fame in this and great bliss forever in the next world. Vaisabhana continued, O best of kings, thus addressed by his son Dhritarashtra, that prince of poets, the Muni Vyasa, concentrated his mind in supreme yoga. Having contemplated for only a short space of time, Vyasa once more said, without doubt, O King of Kings, it is time that destroyeth the universe. It is time also that createth the world. There is nothing here that is eternal. Show the path of righteousness to the Kurus, to thy kinsmen, relatives, and friends. Thou art competent to restrain them. While that best Brahmana was saying these words in a sorrowful tone, Dhritarashtra, the son of Ambika, accomplished in speech, once more addressed him, saying, My knowledge of life and death is similar to thine. The truth is known to me as regards these. Man, however, in what concerns his own interest, is deprived of judgment. O sire, know me to be one who is an ordinary person. Of immeasurable power thou art. I pray thee to extend thine towards us. Of soul under complete control, thou art our refuge and instructor. My sons are not obedient to me, O great Rishi. My understanding too is not inclined to commit sin. Thou art the cause of the fame, the achievements, and the inclination of virtue of the Bharatas. Thou art the reverend grandshare of both the Kurus and the Pandavas. Vyasa said, O royal son of Vichitravirya, tell me freely what is in thy mind. I will remove thy doubts. Dhritarashtra said, O Holy One, I desire to hear from thee of all those indications that happen into those that become victorious in battle. Vyasa said, the sacred fire assumes a cheerful radiance. Its light ascends upwards. Its flame bends towards the right. It blazes up without being smoky. The libations poured on it yield a fragrant scent. The objects of hearing, vision, taste, touch, and smell, without undergoing any change for the worse, become auspicious. This also is another indication of a victorious army. There is joy among the combatants at all times. This also is another indication of success. The winds that blow, the clouds, and the birds all become favorable, while the clouds so favorable, and the rainbows drop beneficial showers. Thus saying, Vinita's son Garuda, he came in, even 5, 6, 7 men who are entreating win victory, and said, O Bharata, beholding even a large conquerors of birds, asketh not the aid of many followers to vanquish them. The strength in number, therefore, of an army is not always the cause of victory. Victory is uncertain, it depends on chance. Even they that become victorious have to sustain loss. Vaisampana said, having said these words unto Dhritarashtra, Vyasa took his departure. Then Dhritarashtra said, tell me all these, O Sanjaya, many thousands, many millions, many tens of millions, many hundreds of millions, heroic men have come together at Kurujangala. I desire to hear, O Sanjaya, with accurate details about the situation and dimensions of these countries and cities from which they have come. Through the potency of the that regenerate Rishi Vyasa of immeasurable energy, thou art have come. Through the potency of the regenerate Rishi Vyasa of innumerable energy, thou art ended with the lamp of celestial perception and the eye of knowledge. Sanjaya said, O thou great wisdom, I will recount thee the merits of earth according to my knowledge. Behold them with the eye of wisdom. I bow to thee, O bull of Bharata's race. Creatures in this world are of two kinds, mobile and immobile. Mobile creatures are of three kinds according to their birth, oviparous, viviparous, and those engendered by heat and damp. Of mobile creatures, O king, the foremost are certainly those called viviparous. Of viviparous creatures, the most and foremost are men and animals. Animals, O king, of diverse forms are of 14 species. Seven have their abodes in the woods, and seven of these are domestic. These 14, O king, complete the tale of domestic and wild animals. O Lord of earth in the Vedas, and on which the sacrifices rest. All creatures are domestic, men are foremost, while lions are foremost of those that have their abode in the woods. All creatures support their life by living upon one another. Vegetables are said to be immobile, and they are of four species: trees, shrubs, creepers, creeping plants, existing for only year, and all stemless plants of the grass species of mobile and immobile creatures. These are all thus one less 20, and as regards these universal constituents, these are of 5, 24 in all. These are described as Gayatri, Brahma, as is well known to all. He who knows these truly to be sacred, Gayatri, possessed of every virtue, is not liable. O best of the Bharatas, the destruction in this world, everything springeth from the earth, and everything, when destroyed, mergeth into the earth. The earth is the stay and refuge of all creatures, and the earth is eternal. He that hath the earth hath the entire universe with its mobile and immobile population. It is for this that longing for earth kings slay one another. Dhritarashtra said, the names of rivers and mountains, O Sanjaya, are also of provinces, and all of other things resting on the earth, and their dimensions. Sanjaya said, O great king, all things in the universe, in consequences of presence in them of the five elements, have been said to be equal by the wise. These elements are space, air, fire, water, and earth. Their respective attributes are sound, touch, vision, taste, and scent. O son of Kuru's race, I will, however, describe to thee the island called Sudarshana. This island, O king, is circular and of the form of a wheel. It is covered with rivers and other pieces of water, and with mountains looking like masses of clouds, and with cities and many delightful provinces. It is also full of trees furnished with flowers and fruits, and with crops of diverse kinds and other wealth, and it is surrounded on all sides with the salt ocean. As a person can see his own face in a mirror, even so is the island called Sudarshana, seen in the lunar disk. Two of its parts seem to be a people tree, while two others look like a large hare. It is surrounded on all sides with an assemblage of every kind of deciduous plants. Besides these portions, the rest is all water. What remains I will describe to thee shortly. The rest of I will speak of afterwards. Listen now to this, and I describe in brief. Dhritarashtra said, "Thou art intelligent, O Sanjaya, and acquainted with the truth. Thou hast duly given a description of the island in brief. Tell us now of the island in detail. Tell us now of the dimensions of the expanse of the land that lies in the portion looking like a hair. Thou mayst then speak of the portion resembling people tree." Vaisapayana said, thus addressed by the king, Sanjaya began to say, and he said, "Stretching from east to west are these six mountains that are equal and that extend from the eastern to western ocean. They are Himavat, Himakuta, that best of mountains are called Nishada, Nila, abounding the stones of lapis lazuli, Sweta, white as the moon, and the mountains called Shringavat, composed of all kinds of metals. These are the six mountains, O king, which are always the resorts of Siddhas and Charnas. The mountains of Sringavat are also regarded as the resort of the celestials. These, then, O great king, are the seven Varshas of the world as they are divided. Diverse creatures, mobile and immobile, are placed in them all. Diverse kinds of prosperity, both providential and human, are noticeable in them. They are incapable of being counted. Those desirous, however, of their own good belief all this. I have now told thee that the delightful region of land of the form of a hare about which thou hadst asked me, at the extremities of the region are of two Varshas, one on the north and the other on the south. Those two also have now been told to thee. Then again the two islands, Nagadvipa and Kashyapa are the 2 years of this region of the form of a hare. The beautiful mountains of Malaya, O king, having rocks like plates of copper, form another prominent part of Jambu Dvipa, that having its shape resembling a hare. Dhritarashtra said, "Tell me, O Sanjaya, thou art of great intelligence of the regions to the north and the east side of Meru, as also the mountains of Malayavat in detail." Sanjay said, "On the south of the Nila mountain and the northern side of Meru are the sacred northern Kurus, O king, which are the residents of the Siddhas. The trees there bear sweet fruits and are also covered with fruits of flowers. All the flowers are fragrant and the fruits of excellent taste. Some of the trees again, O king, yield fruits according to the will of the plucker. These are again some other trees, O king, that are called milk yielding. These always yield milk and the six different kinds of food of the taste of Amrita itself. On the summit of Malayavat is always seen a bull of Bharata's race, that fire called Samvataka, which blazeth forth at the end of the Yuga for the destruction of the universe. On Malayavat summit towards the east are many small mountains, and Malayavat, O king, measures 11,000 yojanas. The men born there are of the complexion of gold, and they are all fallen from the regions of Brahmana and are utterers of Brahma. They undergo the severest ascetic austerities, and their vital seed is drawn up. For the protection of creatures, they all enter the sun. Numbering 64,000, they proceed in advance of Aruna, surrounding the sun. Heated with the sun's rays of 66,000 years, they then enter the lunar disk. Dhritarashtra said, "Tell me truly, O Sanjaya, the names of all the Varshas and all the mountains, and also of all those that dwell on those mountains." Sanjaya said, "On the south of Sweta and the north of Nishada is the Varsha called Roman Naka." And he explained about each Varsha in detail. Vaisampanna continued. The high-souled king Dhritarashtra, thus addressed by Sanjaya, became, "O monarch, absorbed in meditation about his son. Endued with great energy, he then, having reflected, said these words: Without doubt, O Suta's son, it is time that destroyed the universe, and it is time that again created everything. Nothing here is eternal. It is Nara and Narayana, endued with omniscience, that destroyed all creatures. The gods speak of him as Vaikuntha, of immeasurable, while men call him Vishnu. Dhritarashtra said, "Tell me truly, O Sanjaya, of this Varsha that is called after Bharata, where this senseless force has been collected, in respect of which this my son Duryodhana hath been so very covetous, which the sons of Pandu also are desirous of obtaining, and in which my mind too sinketh. O tell me this, for thou art in my judgment endued with intelligence." Sanjaya said, "Listen to me. O king, the sons of Pandu are not covetous about this country. On the other hand, it is Duryodhana that is covetous, and Sakuni, the son of Suvala, as also many other Kshatriyas who are rulers of provinces, who being covetous of this country are not able to bear one another. I will now will thee, O thou of Bharata's race, of the tract of land known by Bharata's name. This land is beloved one of Indra, and thou of Bharata's race. This land, O monarch, that is called after Bharata, is also the beloved land of Manu, the son of Vishwas, of Prithu, of Vainya, of the high-souled Ikshvaku, of Yayati, of Amrita, of Mandhari, Nausha. So all these are from this Bharatavarsha. After this, listen to the names of the provinces I mentioned them. They are of Kuru, Panchalas, the Shalvas, and the different dynasties which ruled this kingdom. O king, many hilly tribes and many tribes residing on land laying at the foot of the hills, and the Pundaras, the Bhargas, the Kiratas, all Yamunas, they live in this Varsha. There are other kingdoms. O bull of Bharata's race is in the south. So, O chief of Bharatas, have become like dogs that snatch meat from one another. Their ambition is unbounded, knowing no gratification. It is for this that the Kurus and the Pandavas are striving for possession of earth by negotiation, disunion, gift, and battle. O Bharata, if earth be well looked after, it becomes the father, mother, children, firmament, and heaven of all creatures. O bull among men. Dhritarashtra said, "Tell me, O Sanjaya, of the period of life, the strength, the good and bad things, the future, past, and present of the resident, O Suta of this Varsha of Bharata, and of the Himavat Varsha, as also of Harivarsha in detail." Sanjaya said, "O bull of Bharata's race, four yugas set in Bharata's Varsha: Krita Yuga, Treta, Dwapara, and Kali. The yuga that sets in first is Krita. O Lord, after the expiry of Krita comes Treta, after expiry of Treta comes Dwapara, and after that, last of all, sets in Kali. 4,000 years, O best of the Kurus, are reckoned as the measure of life. O best of kings in the Krita epoch, 3,000 years is the period in Treta. O ruler of men, at present in Dwapara, persons live on earth for 2,000 years. In Kali, however, of Bharata's race, there is no fixed limit of life's measure, in so much that men die while in the womb, as also soon after birth. In the Krita age, O king, men are born and beget children by hundreds and thousands that are of great strength and great power, endued with the attribute of great wisdom, and possessed of wealth and handsome features. In that age are born and begotten munis endued with wealth of asceticism, capable of great exertion, possessed of high souls, and virtuous and truthful. The Kshatriyas also born in that age are of agreeable features, able bodied, possessed of great energy, accomplished in the use of the bow, highly skilled in battle, and exceedingly brave. In the Treta age of king, all the Kshatriya kings were emperors ruling from sea to sea. The Treta are begotten brave Kshatriyas, not subject to any one, endued with long lives, possessed of heroism and wielding the bow in battle with great skill. When Dwapara sets in, O king, all the four orders one become capable of great exertion, endued with great energy, and desirous of conquering one another. The men born in Kali, O king, are endued with little energy, highly wrathful, covetous, and untruthful. Jealousy, pride, anger, deception, malice, and covetousness. O Bharata, are the attributes of creatures in the Kali age. The portion that remains, O king, of this, the Dwapara age, is small. O ruler of men, the Varsha known as Haimavat is superior to Bharatavarsha, while Harivarsha is superior to Hainavavatvarsha in respect of all qualities. Jnanakosha Mahabharata Bhishma Parva Bhumi Parva. Dhritarashtra said, "Thou hast, O Sanjaya, duly described Jambukanda to me. Tell me now its dimensions and extent truly. Tell me also, O Sanjaya, of the extent of the ocean of Sakadvipa and Kushadvipa, of Salmali Dvipa and Kraunchadvipa, truly and without leaving anything, and tell me also, O son of Gavalagni, of Rahu and Soma and Surya." Sanjaya said, "There are, O king, many islands over which the earth extended. I'll describe to thee, however, only 7 islands, and the moon and the sun and the planet Rahu. Also, the Jambu mountain, O king, extends over full 18,600 yojanas. The extent of the salt ocean is said to be twice this. That ocean is covered with many kingdoms, and is adorned with gems and corals. It is besides decked with many mountains that are variegated with metals of diverse kinds. Thickly peopled by siddhas and charnas, the ocean is circular in form. I will now tell thee truly of Sakadvipa, O Bharata. Listen to me, O son of Kuru's race, as I describe it to thee duly. That island, O ruler of men, is of twice the extent of Jambudvipa, and the ocean also, O great king, is of twice the extent of that island. Indeed, O best of the Bharatas, Sakadvipa is surrounded on all sides by the ocean. The kingdoms there are full of righteousness, and the men there never die. How can famine take place there? The people are all endued with forgiveness and great energy. I have now, O bull of Bharata's race, given thee duly a brief description of Sakadvipa. What else, O king, thou dost wish to hear? Dhritarashtra said, "Thou hast given me, O Sanjaya, A description of Sakadvipa in brief. O thou that art possessed of great wisdom, tell me now everything in detail truly. Sanjaya said, in that island, O king, there are 7 mountains that are decked with jewels and that are mines of gems, precious stones. There are many rivers also in that island. Listen to me as I recount their names. Everything there, O king, is excellent and delightful. The first of these mountains is called Meru. It is the abode of the gods, rishis, and Gandharvas. The next mountain, O king, is called Malaya, stretching towards the east. It is there that the clouds are generated, and it is thence that they disperse on all sides. The next, O thou of Kuru's race, is the large mountain called Jaladhara. Thence Indra daily taketh water of the best quality. It is from that water that we get showers in the season of rains, O ruler of men. Next cometh the high mountain called Raivataka, over which in the firmament hath been permanently placed the constellation called Revati. This arrangement hath been made by the Grantier himself. On the north of this, O great king, is the large mountain called Sayama. It hath the splendor of newly risen clouds, is very high, beautiful, and bright body, and since the hue of these mountains is dark, the people residing there are all dark in complexion. O king, Dhritarashtra said, a great doubt ariseth in my mind, O Sanjaya, from what thou hast said. Why, O Sutasan, would the people there be of dark complexion? Sanjaya said, O great king, in all islands, O son of Kuru's race, men may be found that are fair, and those that are dark, and those also that are produced by a union of fair and the dark races. But because the people there are all dark, therefore is the mountain called the Dark Mountain. After this, O chief of the Kurus, is the large mountain called Durgashaila, and then cometh the mountain called Kesari. The breezes that blow from the mountain are all charged with effluvia. The measure of each of these mountains is double that of the one mentioned immediately before. O thou of Kuru's race, it hath been said by the wise that there are 7 Varshas in that island. The Varsha of Meru is called Mahakasa, that of water giving Malaya is called Kumudottara, the Varsha of Jaladhara is called Sukumara, while that of Raivataka is called Kaumara, and the Sayama Manikanchana. The Varsha of Kesara is called Mandaki, and that called after the mountain is called Mahapuman. In the midst of that island is a large tree called Saka. The height and breadth, the measure of the tree is equal to that of the Jambu tree in Jambu Dvipa, and the people there always adore that tree. There, in that island, are many delightful provinces where Shiva is worshipped, and Titha repaired the Siddhas and Charanas and the celestials. The people there, O king, are virtuous, and all the 4 orders, O Bharata, are devoted to their respective occupation. No instance of theft can be seen there. Freed from death and gifted with long life, the people there. The rivers that are full of sacred water and the Ganga herself, distributed as she hath been known into various currents, is there. Sukumari and Kumari, and Seta and Kevaraka and Mahanadi. O perpetuator of Kuru's race, from which Vasava draweth water for showering it as rain, it is impossible to recount the names and lengths of rivers. All of them are foremost of rivers and sin cleansing. as heard by all men. There in that island of Sakha are four sacred provinces. They are the Mrigas, the Masakas, the Manasas, and the Mandagas. This much is capable of being said to the island called Sakha. This much also should be listened to about the island induced with great energy. Sanjaya said, O Kauravarya, that which is heard about the islands in the north, I will recount to thee, O great king. Listen to me now. Thither in the north is the ocean, whose waters are clarified butter. The islands, O king, are double in area of one another as they proceed further and further towards the north. In the island that is in the middle, there is a large mountain called Gaura made of red arsenic on the western island. O king, in the mountain of Krishna, that is the favorite abode of Narayana. There Kesava guardeth celestial gems in profusion, and thence inclined to grace, he bestoweth happiness on creatures. The intervening spaces between one another of the six mountains increaseth in the ratio of 1 to 2 as they proceed further and further towards the north. The first Varsha is called Audhido, the second is Venumandala, the third is called Surata, the fourth is known as the name of the Kamala. The fifth Varsha is called Dhritimat, and the sixth is named Prabhakara. As regards the rest of the island, O ruler of men, I will recount all that hath been heard by me. Listen, O monarch, with an attentive mind. O perpetrator of Kuru's race is called Ushan. After Ushan is Pravarka, and after Pravarka is Andhakaraka. The country after Andhakaraka is named Munidesha. After Munidesha, the region is called Dundhubi Swana, teeming with Siddhas and Charanas. The people are almost white in complexion. O king, all these countries, O monarch, are the habitation of gods and Gandharvas. In Pushkara is a mountain called Pushkara that abounds with jewels and gems. The Supreme Prajapati himself, upraising the rod of chastisement, always dwelleth there, protecting those islands. They are, O best of Bharatas, Vamana and Airavata, and another, and also Suprikita, O king, with rent cheeks and mouth. I do not venture to calculate the proportion of these four elephants. Their length, breadth, and thickness have forever remained uncertained. Dhritarashtra said, Thou hast, O Sanjaya, told me everything about the first subject very elaborately. Thou hast also indicated the positions of the island. Tell me now, Sanjaya, about what remains. Sanjaya said, Indeed, O great king, the islands have all been described to thee. Listen now to what I truly say about the heavenly bodies and about Swarabhanu, O chief. As regards its dimensions, it is heard, O king, that the planet Swarabhanu is globular. Its diameter is 12,000 yojanas, and circumference, because it is very large, is 42,000 yojanas. It has been heard that the diameter of the beneficent, fast going, and light giving sun, O thou of Kuru's race, is 10,000 yojanas, and his circumference, O king, is 35,800 miles, in consequence of his largeness. O sinless one, these are the dimensions reckoned here. O Bharata of Arka, the planet Rahu, in consequence of his great bulk, envelops both the sun and the moon in due time. I tell thee, this is brief. with the eye of science, O great king. I have now told thee all that thou hadst asked. Let peace be thine. I have now told thee about the construction of the universe as indicated in the Shastras. Therefore, O Kaurvaya, pacify thy son Duryodhana. Having listened to this charming Bhumi Parva, O chief of the Bharatas, a Kshatriya becometh endued with prosperity, obtaineth fruition of all his desires, and winneth the abhorration of the virtuous. The king who listened to this on days of the full moon or the new moon, carefully observing owes all the while, had the period of his life, his fame and energy all enhanced, his diseased sires, grandsires become gratified. Thou hast now heard of all the merits that flow from the Varsha of Bharat, where we now are. Jnanakosha Mahabharata Bhishma Parva Bhagavad Gita Parva. Vaishampana said, possessing a knowledge of the past, the present, and the future, and seeing all things as if present before his eyes, the learned son of Gavalagana, O Bharata, coming quickly from the field of battle and rushing with grief into the court, represented unto Dhritarashtra, who was plunged in thought that Bhishma, the grandsire of the Bharatas, had been slain. Sanjaya said, I am Sanjaya, O great king. I bow to thee, O bull of Bharata's race. Bhishma, the son of Santanu, and the grandsire of the Bharatas, hath been slain. That foremost of all warriors, that grandsire of the Bharatas, hath been slain. That foremost of all warriors, that embodied energy of all bowmen, that grandsire of the Kurus, layeth today on a bed of arrows. That Bhishma, O king, relying on whose energy thy son had been engaged in that match at dice, now lieth on the field of battle slain by Shikhandin. That mighty car warrior, who on a single car had vanquished in terrific combat at the city of Kashi all the kings of the earth mustered together, he who had fearlessly fought in battle with Rama, the son of Jamadagni, he whom Jamadagni's son could not slay, oh, even hath he been today slain by Shikhandin, resembling the great Indra himself in bravery and Himavat in firmament, like unto the ocean itself in gravity, and the earth herself in patience, that invincible warrior having arrows for his teeth, that bow for his mouth, and the sword for his tongue, that lion among men hath today been slain by the prince of Panchala, that slayers of heroes, beholding whom, when addressed for battle, the mighty army of the Pandavas, unmanned by fear, used to tremble like a herd of kine when beholding a lion. Alas, having protected that army of thine for 10 nights, and having achieved feats exceedingly difficult of accomplishment, hath set like the sun. He who, like Sakra himself, scattering arrows in thousands with the utmost composure, daily slew 10,000 warriors for 10 days. Even he slain by the enemy, lieth though he deserveth it not, on the bare ground like a mighty tree broken by the wind in consequence, O king, of thy evil counsels, O Bharata. Dhritarashtra said, how hath Bhishma, that bull among the Kurus, been slain by Shikhandin? How did my father, who resembled Vasava himself, fall down from his car? What became of my sons, O Sanjaya, when they were deprived of the mighty Bhishma, who was like unto a celestial, and who led life of brahmacharya for the sake of his father. Upon the fall of that tiger among men, who was endued with great wisdom, great capacity for exertion, great might, and great energy. How did our warriors feel hearing that bull amongst the Kurus, the foremost of men, that unwarring hero is slain? Great is the grief that pierceth my heat while advancing against the foe who followed him and who proceeded here ahead, who stayed by his side, who proceedeth with him. What brave combatants followed behind, protecting his rear? That tiger among our warriors, that wonderful archer, that bull among Kshatriyas, while he penetrated into the divisions of the foe, while seizing the hostile ranks, what warriors opposed that slayer of foes, resembling the luminary of thousand rays, who spreading terror among the foe destroyed their ranks like the sun destroying darkness, and who achieved in battle among the ranks of Pandu sons feats exceedingly difficult of accomplishment. How indeed, O Sanjay, did the Pandavas oppose in battle the son of Santanu, the accomplished and invisible warrior, when he approached them smiting, slaughtering the hostile ranks, having arrows for his teeth, and full of energy, with the bow for his wide open mouth, and with the terrible sword of his tongue, and invisible, a very tiger among men, endued with modesty, and never before vanquished. Alas, how did Kunti's son overthrow in battle that unconquered one, undeserving as he was of such a fate? That fierce bowman shooting fierce shafts, stationed on his excellent car, and plucking off the heads of foes from their bodies, that warrior, irresistible as the Yuga fire, beholding whom addresseth for battle the great army of the Pandavas, always used to waver. How could Bhishma, who was reckoned as an Athiratha and who could not be resisted by very gods, be slain in battle by Sikandini, the prince of Panchala? O Sanjaya, tell me how that hero Bhishma, born in the race of Maharathas, was slain in battle, for without knowing all the particulars, I cannot regain my equanimity. Who were the heroes that resisted like the bank resisting the surging sea? That chestier of foes who was terrible, ocean of arrows and weapons, an ocean in which shafts were the irresistible crocodiles and bows were the waves, an ocean that was inexhaustible, without an island, agitated and without a raft to cross it, in which maces and swords were like sharks and steeds, and elephants like eddies, the foot soldiers like fishes in abundance, and the sound of conches and drums like its roar, and ocean that swallowed horses and elephants and foot soldiers quickly, an ocean that devoured hostile heroes and that seeth with wrath and energy which constituted its Yadava fire. Thou tellest me, O Sanjaya, if the disappearance of that Bhishma, that tiger among men, who was our refuge and relying upon whom the Kurus were fighting with their foes, that warriors of mighty strength relying on whose energy my son had never reckoned the Pandavas. Alas, how hath he been slain by the enemy? In days of yore, all the gods, while engaged in slaying the Danavas, sought the aid of that invincible warrior, my father of high woes, accomplished in every weapon and endued with humility, gentle with passions under full control, and possessed of great energy as he was. Alas, hearing that son of Santanu slain, I God, the rest of my army has already slain. The army of my son, O Sanjay, reft of its hero, is like an unprotected woman. Indeed, that army of mine is like a panic-struck herd of kind reft of its herdsmen. I ween are bitterly weeping from grief on Bhishma's death. My heart, O Sanjay, is surely made of adamant, for it rendeth not even after hearing the death of Bhishma, that tiger among men. O Sanjay, that Santanu's son Bhishma is dead, burning with grief on account of my sons, in fact overwhelmed with great sorrow. O Sanjay, when direful calamities come, the display of powers and the exhibition of the utmost might have been laid down among the duties of the Kshatriya. How indeed did the son of Pandu oppose my father Bhishma, the son of Santanu, that unvanquished hero, endued with modesty? Duryodhana and Karna and the deceitful Sakuni, the son of Shivala, and Dusasana also. What did they say when Bhishma was slain? Keen anguish had penetrated my heart, born of the thought that all my children would die. Thou makest that grief of mine blaze forth, O Sanjaya, like fire by pouring clarified butter on it. My sons, we are even now grieving, beholding Bhishma slain, Bhishma celebrated in all worlds and who had taken upon himself a heavy burden. How, in fact, the battle took place between the armies of the Kurus and the manner in which each happened. Sanjaya said, deserving as thou art, this question is indeed worthy of thee, O great king. It behoveth thee not, however, to impute this fault to Duryodhana. Of steeds and elephants and kings, of immeasurable energy, that which hath been seen by the aid of yoga power here, O Lord of earth, and do not set thy heart on sorrow. All this was predestined, O king, having bowed down to thy father, that wise and high souled son of Parashara, through whose grace, through whose boon bestowed on me, I have obtained excellent and celestial apprehension, sight beyond the range of the visual sense and hearing. O king, from great distance, knowledge of other people's heart, and also of the past and the future, O knowledge, and knowledge also of the origin of all the persons transgressing the ordinances, the delightful power of coursing through the skies, the untouchableness by weapons in battles. Listen to me in detail as I recite the romantic and highly wonderful battle that happened between the Bharatas, a battle that makes one's hair stand on end. When the combatants were arrayed according to rule, and then when they were addressed for battle, Duryodhana, O king, said these words to Dusasana. O Dusasana, let cars be speedily directed for the protection of Bhishma, and do thou speedily urge all our divisions to advance. That hath now come to me, of which I had been thinking for a series of years, the meeting of the Pandavas and Kurus at the head of their respective troops. I do not think that there is any act more important for us in this battle than the protecting of Bhishma. If protected, he will slay the Pandavas, the Somakas, and the Srinijiyas. That warrior of pure soul said, I will not slay Shikhandin. It is heard that he was a female before. For this reason, he should be renounced by me in battle. For this, Bhishma should be particularly protected. Let all my warriors take up their positions, resolved to slay Shikhandin. Let also all the troops from the east, the west, the south, and the north, accomplished in every kind of weapon, protect the grandsire. Even the lion of mighty strength, if left unprotected, may be slain by the wolf. Let us not therefore cause Bhishma to be slain by Shikhandin like the lion slain by the jackal. Udhamanyu protects the left wheel and Uttama Oja protects the right wheel of Falguni. Protected by those two, Falguni himself protects Shikhandin. O Dussasana, act in such a way that Shikhandin, who is protected by Falguni and whom Bhishma will renounce, may not slay Ganga's son. Sanjaya said, when the night had passed away, loud became the noise and made by the king, all claiming, array, array, with the blare of conches and the sound of drums that resembled leonine roars, O Bharata, with the neigh of steeds and the clatter of car wheels, with the noise of astrocious elephants and the shouts, clapping of armpits, and cries of roaring combatants, the din caused everywhere was very great. The large armies of the Kurus and Pandavas, O king, rising at sunrise, completed all their arrangements. Then, when the sun rose, the fierce weapons of attack and defiance, and the coats of mail of both thy sons and the Pandavas, and the large and splendid armies of both sides became fully visible. Their elephants and cars, adorned with gold, looked resplendent like clouds mingled with lightning. And Suvala's son Sakuni and Salya, Jayadratha, and the two princes of Avanti named Vinda and Anuvinda, and the Kekeya brothers, and Sudhakshini, the ruler of the Kamavojas, and Shrutadhyuva, the ruler of the Kalingas, and King Jayatasena, and Vridhavala, the ruler of the Koshalas, and Kritivarma of Satvata's race. Then 10 tigers among them, endued with great bravery and possessing arms that looked like maces, that these performers of sacrifice with plentiful gifts to Brahmanas stood each at the head of an Akaushani of troops. These and many other kings and princes, mighty car warriors, conservant, conversant with policy, obedient to the commands of Duryodhana, all cased in mail, were seen stationed in their respective divisions. For Duryodhana's sake, to ascend to the regent of Bhishma stood there commanding 10 efficient Akshunis. The 11th great division of Kauravas, consisting of the Dhritarashtra troops, stood in advance of the whole army. There in the van of that division was Santanu's son, with his white headgear, white umbrella, and white mail. O monarch, we beheld Bhishma of unfailing powers, looked like the risen moon. So also the 7 divisions belonging to the Pandavas were protected by foremost of men. Indeed, the two armies facing each other looked like two oceans at the end of the Yuga, agitated by fierce makaras and abounding with huge crocodiles. Never before, O king, did we see or hear of two such armies encountering each other like these of the Kauravas. Sanjaya said, just as the holy Krishna Dvaipayana Vyasa had said, in that very manner the kings of the earth mustered together came to the encounter. On that day on which the battle commenced, Soma approached the regions of Pitris. The 7 large planets, as they appeared in the firmament, all looked blazing like fire. The sun, when he rose, seemed to be divided in twain. Besides that luminary, as it appeared in the firmament, seemed to blaze forth in flames. Every day, the old grandsire of the Kurus and the son of Bharadwaja, rising from bed in the morning with concentrated mind, said victory to the sons of Pandu, while those chastitaries of foes used at the same time had to fight for thy sake according to the pledge they had given. The father, Devavrata, fully conversant with every duty, summoning of all kings, said these words unto them. Kshatriyas, this broad door is opened to you for entering heaven. Go, through it the regions of Sakra and Brahmana. Bhishma, the Kuru army, he looked like the resplendent sun himself. O King, as Santanu's son ordered, King Saivya of the country of the Vasanas, accompanied by all the monarchs, went out on a princely elephant worthy of royal use and graced with a banner on its back. And Ashwathaman, of the complexion of the lotus, went out ready for every emergency, stationing himself at the very head of all the divisions, with his standard bearing the device of the lion's tail, and Shudrayuddha, and Kritasena, and Purumitra, and Vivashakti, and Salya, and Bruhiswaras, and that mighty car warrior Vikarma. When these seven mighty bowmen on their cards and cased in excellent mail followed Drona's son behind, but in advance of Bhishma. And the ruler of the Kalingas, with his tall standard, effulgent as fire, with his white umbrella and golden cuirass and chamras, shone brilliantly, and Ketumad, also riding an elephant with a highly excellent and beautiful hook, was stationed in battle. O King, like the sun in the modest and midst of black clouds, and King Bhagadatta, blazing with energy and riding on that elephant of his, went out like the wielder of the thunder. And the two princes of Avanti, named Vinda and Anuvinda, who were guarding as equal to Bhagadatta, followed Ketumati, riding on the necks of their elephants. And O King, arrayed by Drona and the royal son of Santanu and Drona's son, and Valhika and Kripa, the Kaurava Vyuha, consisting of many divisions of cars, was such that the elephants formed its body, the king's its head, and the seeds its wings. The face towards all sides, that fierce Vyuha seemed to smile and ready to spring upon the foe. Jnanakosha Mahabharata Bhishma Parva. Sanjaya said, soon after, O king, a loud uproar causing the heart to tremble was heard, made by the combatants ready for the fight. Indeed, with the sounds of conches and drums, the grunts of elephants, and the clatter of car wheels, the earth seemed to rend in twain. And soon the welkin and the whole earth was filled with the neigh of chargers and the shouts of combatants. O irresistible one, the troops of thy sons and of the Pandavas both trembled when they encountered each other. There on the field of battle, elephants and cars, decked in gold, looked beautiful like clouds decked with lightning, and standards of diverse forms. O king, belonging to the combatants, on thy side, and adorned with golden ring, looked resplendent like fire. And those standards of thy side and theirs resembled, O Bharata, the banners of Indra in his celestial mansion, and the heroic warriors all accounted and cased in golden coats of mail, endued with the effulgence of the blazing sun. themselves looked like blazing fire or the sun. All the foremost warriors amongst the Kurus, O king, with excellent bows and weapons, are praised for striking with the leathern fences on their hands, and with standards, those mighty bowmen of the eyes large as those of bulls, all placed themselves at the heads of their respective divisions. And these amongst thy sons, O king, protected Bhishma from behind, Dusasana and Durvishasha and Durmukha and Dusha and Vinisati and Chitrasena and that mighty car warrior Vikarna. And amongst them were Satyavrata and Purumitra and Jaya and Bhuhirswaras and Sala, and 20,000 car warriors followed them. The Abhishashas, the Surasenas, the Shivis, and the Vasishtas, the Swalas, the Matsyas, the Avasas, the Trigartas, and the Kekayas, the Saurivas, the Kitavas, and dwellers of the eastern, western, and northern countries. These 12 brave races were resolved to fight reckless of the life, and these protected the Grandshire with multitudinous array of cars, and with a division that consisted of 10,000 active elephants. The king of Magadha followed that large car division. They that protected the wheels of the cars and they that protected the elephants numbered full 6 millions, and the foot soldiers that marched in advance of the army, armed with bows, swords, and shields, numbered many hundreds of thousands, and they fought also, using their nails and bearded darts, and the 10 and 1 Akshaunimis of the sun. O Bharata, looked, O mighty king, like Ganga separated from Yamuna. Dhritarashtra said, beholding our 10 and 1 Akshaunis arrayed in order of battle, how did Yudhishthira, the son of Pandu, make his counter-array with his forces smaller in number? How did Kunti's son, O Sanjaya, form his counter-array against that Bhishma, who was acquainted with all kinds of arrays, human, celestial, Gandharva, and Ashura? Sanjaya said, seeing the Dhritarashtra divisions arrayed in order of battle, Pandu, son of virtuous soul, King Yudhishthira, the just, addressed Dhananjaya, saying, men are informed from the words of that great Rishi, Vrishapati, that the few must be made to fight by condensing them, while the many may be extended according to pleasure. In encounters of the few with the many, the array to be formed should be the needle mouthed one. Our troops, compared with the enemy's, are few. Keeping in view this precept of the great Rishi, array our troops, O son of Pandu. Hearing this, that son of Pandu answered King Yudhishthira the just, saying, that immovable array known by the name of Vajra, which was designated by the wielder of the thunderbolt, that invincible array is the one that I will make for thee, O best of kings, he who is like the bursting tempest, he who is incapable of being borne in battle by the foe, that Bhima, the foremost of smiters, will fight at our head. That foremost of men, conservant with all the appliances of battle, becoming our leader, will fight in the van, crushing the energy of the foe. The foremost of smiters, Bhima, beholding whom all the hostile warriors, headed by Duryodhana, will retreat in panic, like smaller animals beholding the lion. All of us, our fears dispelled, will seek his shelter as if he were a ball, like the celestial seeing the shelter of Indra. The man breathes not in the world Who would bear to cast his eyes upon that bull among men? Vrikodara of fierce deeds when he is angry. Having said this, Dhananjaya of mighty arms did as he said, and Falguni, quickly disposing his troops in battle array, proceeded against the foe. And the mighty army of the Pandavas, beholding the Kuru army move, looked like the full, immovable, and quickly rolling current of Ganga. And Bhimasena and Jumna, endued with great energy, and Nakula and Sahadeva and King Drishtaketu became the leaders of the force. The king Virata, surrounded by the Akshawini of troops and accompanied by his brothers and sons, marched in their rear, protecting them from behind. The two sons of Madri, both endued with great effulgence, became the protectors of Bhima's wheels, while the five sons of Draupadi and the son of Subhadra, all endued with great activity, protected Bhima from behind. And that mighty car warrior, Drishtadyumna, the prince of Panchala, with those bravest of combatants and the foremost of car warriors, Prabha Drakas, protected those princes from behind, and behind him was Shikhandi, who in his turn was protected by Arjuna, and who, O bull of Bharata's race, advanced with concentrated attention for the destruction of Bhishma. Behind Arjuna was Yuyudhana of mighty strength, and the two princes of Panchala, Yudhamanyu and Uttamajusas, became protectors of Arjuna's wheels along with the Kekeya brothers and Drishtaketu and Chekitana of great valor. This Bhishmasena, wielding his mace made of the hardest metal and moving on the field of battle with fierce speed, can dry up the very ocean, and there also stay with their counselors looking on him. O king, the children of Dhritarashtra, even this, O monarch, was that of Vibhushtu, said, pointing out the mighty Bhimasena to Yudhishthira, and while Partha was saying so, all the troops, O Bharata, worshipped him on the field of battle with gratulatory words. King Yudhishthira, the son of Kunti, took up his position in the center of his army, surrounded by huge and furious elephants resembling moving hills. The high-souled Yajnasena, the king of the Panchalas, endued with great powers, stationed himself behind Virata with an Akshawni of troops for the sake of Pandavas. And on the cars of those kings, O monarch, were tall standards bearing diverse devices, decked with excellent ornaments of gold and endued with the effulgence of the sun and the moon, causing those kings to move and make space for him. That mighty car warrior, this Jumna, accompanied by his brothers and sons, protected Yudhishthira from behind, transcendenting the huge standards on all the cars on thy side and that of the enemy, was the one gigantic ape on Arjuna's car. Foot soldiers by many hundreds of thousands, and armed with swords, spears, and scimitars, proceeded ahead for protecting Bhimasena, and 10,000 elephants with temporal dews trickling down their cheek and mouth, and resembling on the account showering clouds, endued with great courage, blazing with golden armor, huge hills, costly and emitting the fragrance of lotuses, followed the king behind like moving mountains, and the high-souled and invincible Bhimasena, wielding his fierce mace that resembled a parigraha, seemed to crush the large army of thy son, incapable of being looked at like the sun himself, and scorching as it were the hostile army like fire. None of the combatants could bear to even look at him from any near point. And this array, fearless and having its face turned towards all sides, called Vajra, having bows for its lightning sign, and extremely fierce, was protected by the wielder of Gandiva. Disposing their troops in their counter array against thy army, the Pandavas waited for battle, and protected by the Pandavas, that array became invincible in the world of men. And as the army stood at dawn of day waiting for sunrise, O bull of Bharata's race, and striking against the rising sun, broke in fragments with loud noise. When the troops stood array, O bull of Bharata's race, the sun rose divested of splendor, and the earth trembled with a loud sound and cracked in many places. It was thus that those tigers among men, the sons of Pandu, ever taking delight in battle, stood having disposed their troops in counter array against the army of thy son, and sucking, as it were, the marrow, O bull Bharata's race, of our warriors, and casting their eyes on Bhimasena, stationed at their head, mace in hand. Dhritarashtra said, when the sun rose, O Sanjaya, of my army led by Bhishma, and the Pandava army led by Bhima, which first cheerfully approached the other, desirous of fight, to which side were the sun, the moon, and the wind hostile, and against whom did the beasts of prey utter inauspicious sound? Who were those young men? The complexions of those faces were cheerful. Tell me all these truly and duly. Sanjaya said, both armies, when arrayed, were equally joyful, O king. Both armies looked equally beautiful, assuming the aspect of blossoming woods, and both armies were full of elephants, cars, and horses. Both armies were vast and terrible in aspect, and so also Bharata, none of them could bear the other. Both of them were arrayed of conquering the very heavens, and both of them consisted of excellent persons. The Kauravas belonging to the Dhritarashtra party stood facing the west, while the Pardhas stood facing the east, addressed for fight. The troops of the Kauravas looked like the army of the chief of the Danavas, while that of the Pandavas looked like the army of the Celestials. The wind began to flow from behind the Pandavas against the face of the and the beasts of prey began to yell against Dhartarashtra's. The elephants belonging to the sons could not bear the strong odor of the temporal juice emitted by the huge elephants of the Pandavas. And Duryodhana rode on an elephant of the complexion of the lotus, with rent temples, graced with a golden kaksha on its back, and cased in an armor of steel net work. Him, Sakuni, the ruler of the Gandharas, followed with mountaineers of Gandhara, placed all around, and the venerable Bhishma was at the head of all the troops. In Bhishma's division were all the sons of Dhritarashtra, and also Sala, who was a countryman of the Valhikas, and also of those Kshatriyas called Amvasatas, and those called Sindhus, and those are also that are called the Sauviras, and the heroic dwellers of the country of the five rivers. And on a golden car unto which were yoked red steeds, the high souled Drona, bow in hand, and with never failing heart, the preceptor of almost all the kings, remained behind all the troops, protecting them like Indra. In thy army, O Bharata, were 1,000 elephants of the foremost fighting power. Unto each elephant was assigned a century of cars, unto each car 100 horsemen, unto each horseman 10 bowmen, and unto each bowman 10 combatants armed with a sword and shield. Thus, O Bharata, were thy divisions arrayed by Bhishma. Thy Bhishma, the son of Santanu, as each day dawned, sometimes disposed thy troops in the human army, sometimes in the celestial, sometimes in the Gandharva, and sometimes in the Asura. Thronged with a large number of Maharathas and roaring like the very ocean, the army, arrayed by Bhishma, stood facing the west for battle. O ruler of men, it looked terrible, but the army of the Pandavas, although it was not such in number, yet seemed to me to be very large and invincible, since Keshava and Arjuna were its leaders. Jnanakosha Mahabharata Bhishma Parva. Sanjaya said, beholding the vast Dhritarashtra army ready for battle, King Yudhishthira, the son of Kunti, gave way to grief, seeing that impenetrable array formed by Bhishma and regarding it as really impenetrable. The king became pale and addressed Arjuna, saying, O mighty armed Dhananjaya, how shall we be able to fight in battle with the Dhritarashtra's who have the grand share for their chief? Immovable and impenetrable is this array that hath been designed according to the rules laid down in the scriptures by the grandeur of foes Bhishma. With our troops we have become doubtful of success. O grandeur of foes, how indeed will victory be ours in the face of this mighty array? Thus addressed that slayer of foes, Arjuna answered Yudhishthira, the son of Pritha, who had been plunged into grief at sight. O king, by thy army in these words, hear, O king, how soldiers that are few in number may vanquish the many that are possessed of every quality. Thou art without malice, I shall therefore tell thee means, O king. The rishi Narada knows it, as also both Bhishma and Drona. Referring to this means, the Grandsire himself in the days of old, on the occasion of the battle between the gods and the Asuras, said unto Indra and the other celestials, they that are desirous of victory do not conquer by might and energy so much as by truth, compassion, righteousness, and energy. Discriminating then between righteousness and unrighteousness, and understanding what is meant by covetousness, and having a recourse to exertion, fight without arrogance, for victory is there where righteousness is. For this know, O king, that to us victory is certain in this battle. Indeed, as Narada said, there is victory where Krishna is. Victory is inherent to Krishna. Indeed, it followeth Madhava. And as victory is one of its attributes, so humility is this another attribute. Govinda is possessed of energy that is infinite. Even in the midst of immeasurable foes, he is without pain. He is the most eternal of male beings, and their victory is where Krishna is. Even he, indestructible and of weapons incapable of being baffled, appearing as Hari in olden days, said in a loud voice unto the gods and the Asuras, who amongst you would be victorious? Even the conquered who said, with Krishna in the front, we will conquer. And it was through Hari's grace that the three worlds were obtained by the gods headed by Sakra. I do not, therefore, behold the slightest cause of sorrow in thee, thee that hast the sovereign of the universe and the Lord himself of the celestials for wishing victory to thyself. Sanjaya said, Then, O bull of Bharata's race, King Yudhishthira, disposing his own troops in counter array against the divisions of Bhishma, urged them on, saying, the Pandavas have now disposed their forces in counter array agreeably to what is laid down in the scriptures. A sinless ones fight fairly, desirous of entering the highest heaven. In the center of the Pandava army was Shikhandini and his troops, protected by Arjuna, and Drishtajumna moved in the van, protected by Bhima. The southern division of the Pandava army was protected, O king, by that mighty bowman, the handsome Yudhana, that foremost combatant of the Satvata race, resembling Indra himself. Yudhishthira was stationed on a car that was worthy of bearing Mahendra himself, adorned with an excellent standard, variegated with gold and gems, and furnished with golden traces for the steeds in the midst of his elephant division. His pure white umbrella with ivory handle raised over his head looked exceedingly beautiful, and many great rishis walked around the king too, uttering words in his praise. And many priests and regenerate rishis and siddhas, uttering hymns in his praise, wished him as they walked around the destructions of his enemies by the aid of japas and mantras, efficacious drugs, and diverse ceremonies. That high-souled chief of the Kurus, then giving away unto the Brahmanas kine and fruits and flowers and golden coins along with clothes, proceeded like Sakra, the chief of the celestials. The car of Arjuna, finished with 100 bells, decked with Jamavana, the gold of the best kind, endued with excellent wheels, possessed of the flames of fire, and unto which were yoked white steeds, looked exceedingly brilliant like 1,000 suns. And on the bannered car, the reins of which were held by Keshava, stood Arjuna with Gandiva and arrows in hand, a bowman whose spear exists not on earth, nor ever will, for crushing thy son's troops, he who assumeth the most awful form, who divesteth of weapons with only his bare hands, poundeth to dust men, horses, and elephants, that strong armed Bhimasena, otherwise called Vrikodra, accompanied by the twins, became the protector of the heroic car warriors of the Pandava army. Like unto a furious prince of lions of sportive guide, or like the great Indra himself with earthly body on the earth, beholding that invincible Vikodra, like unto a proud leader of an elephantine herd stationed in the van of the army, the warriors of thy side, their strength weakened by fear, began to tremble like elephants sunk in mire. Unto that invincible prince Gudakesha, staying in the midst of his troops, Janardhana, O chief of Bharata's race, said, he who scorcheth us with his wrath stayeth in the midst of his forces. He who will attack our troops like a lion, he who performed 300 horse sacrifices, that banner of Kuru's race, that Bhishma stayeth yonder. Yon ranks around him on all sides great warriors like the clouds, shrouding the brightest luminary. O foremost of men, slaying yon troops, seek battle with yonder bull of Bharata's race. Sanjaya said, beholding the Dhritarashtra army approach for fight, Krishna said these words for Arjuna's benefit. The Holy One said, cleansing thyself, O mighty armed one, utter on the eve of the battle thy hymn to Durga for compassing the defeat of the foe. Sanjaya continued. Thus addressed on the eve of battle by Vasudeva, endued with great intelligence, Pritha's son Arjuna, alighting from his car, said the following hymn with joined hand. Arjuna said, I bow to thee, O leader of yogins, O thou that art identical with Brahma, O thou that dwellest in the forest of Mandara, O thou that art freed from decrepitude and decay, O Kali, O wife of Kapala, O thou that art of a black and tawny hue, I bow to thee, O bringer of benefits to thy devotees, I bow to thee, O Mahakali, O wife of the universal destroyer, I bow to thee, O proud one, O thou that requestest from dangers, O thou that art endued with every auspicious attribute, O thou that art sprung from the Katha race, O thou deservest of the most regardful worship, O fierce one, O giver of victory, O victory's self, O thou that bearest a banner of peacock plumes, O thou that art decked with every ornament, O thou that bearest an awful spear, O thou holdest a sword and shield, O thou that art the younger sister of the chief of cowherds, O eldest one, O thou that wert born in the race of the cowherd Nanda, O thou that art always fond of buffalo's blood, O thou that wert born in the race of Kushika, O thou that art dressed in yellow robes, O thou that haveth devoured Asuras, assuming the face of a wolf. I bow to thee that art fond of battle, O Uma, Shakambhari, O thou that art white in blue, O thou that art black in hue. O thou that hast slain the Ashura Kaithabha, O thou art yellow eyed, O thou that art diverse eyed, O thou of eyes that have the color of smoke, I bow to thee. I, thou that art the Vedas, the Shrutis, and the highest virtue, O thou that art propitious to Brahmanas engaged in sacrifice, O thou that hast a knowledge of the past, thou that art ever present in the sacred abodes erected to thee in cities of Jambudvipa. I bow to thee, thou art the science of Brahma among sciences, and thou that art that sleep of creators from which there is no waking. O mother of Skanda, O thou that possessest the six highest attributes of O Durga, O thou that dwellest in accessible regions, thou art described as Swaha and Swadha, as Kala and Kastha, and as Saraswati, as Savitri, the mother of the Vedas, and as the science of Vedanta. With inner soul cleansed, I praise thee. O great goddess, let victory always attend me through thy grace on the field of battle. In inaccessible regions where there is fear, in places of difficulty, in the abodes of thy worshippers, and in the nether regions, Patala, thou always dwellest. Thou always defeatest the Danavas, thou art the unconsciousness, the sleep, the illusion, the modesty, the beauty of all creatures. Thou art the twilight, thou art the day, thou art Savitri, and thou art the mother. Thou art contentment, thou art growth, thou art light. It is thou that supportest the sun and the moon, and that makes them shine. Thou art the prosperity of those that are prosperous. The Siddhas and Charnas behold thee in contemplation. Sanjaya continued, understanding the measure of Partha's devotion, Durga, who is always graciously inclined towards mankind, appeared in the firmament and in the presence of Govinda, said these words. The goddess said, within a short time thou shalt conquer thy foes, O Pandava, O invisible one, thou hast Narayana again parading thee. thou art incapable of being defeated by force, even by the wielder of the thunderbolt himself. Having said this, the boon giving goddess disappeared soon. The son of Kunti, however, obtaining that boon, regarded himself as a successful, and the son of Pritha then mounted his own excellent car. And then Krishna and Arjuna, seated on the same car, blew their celestial conches. The man that recites this hymn rising at dawn hath no fear any time from yakshas, rakshasas, and pisachas. He can have no enemies, he hath no fear from snakes and all animals that have fangs and teeth, and also from kings. He is sure to be victorious in all disputes and is bound. He is freed from his bonds. He is sure to get all over all difficulties, is freed from peace, is ever victorious in battle, and winneth the goddess of prosperity forever. With health and the strength he liveth for 100 years. I have known all this through the grace of Vyasa, endued with great wisdom. Thy wicked sons, however, all entangled in the meshes of death, do not from ignorance know them to be Nara and Narayana, nor do they, entangled in the meshes of death, know that the hour of this kingdom hath arrived. Dwapayana and Narada and Kanva and the sinless Rama had all prevented thy son, but he did not accept their words. There where righteousness is, there are glory and beauty. There where modesty is, there are prosperity and intelligence. There where righteousness is, there is Krishna. And there where Krishna is, there is victory. Dhritarashtra said, there on the field of battle, O Sanjaya, the warriors of which side first advanced to battle cheerfully, whose hearts were filled with confidence, and who were spiritless from melancholy, in that battle which maketh the hearts of men tremble with fear. Who were they that struck the first blow? Mine are they belonging to the Pandavas. Tell me all this, O Sanjaya, among whose troops did the flowery garland and unguents emit fragrant odors, and whose hearts were filled with confidence, and who were spiritless from melancholy, in that battle which maketh the hearts of men tremble with fear. Who were they that struck the first blow? Mine are they belonging to the Pandavas. Tell me all this, O Sanjay, among whose troops did the flowery garlands and arguments emit fragrant odors, and whose troops, roaring fiercelessly, uttered merciful words. Sanjaya said. The combatants of both armies were cheerful. Then the flowery garlands and perfumes of both troops emitted equal fragrance. And O bull of Bharata's race, fierce was the collation that took place when the serried ranks arrayed for battle encountered each other, and the sound of musical instruments mingled with the blare of conches and the noise of drums and the shouts of brave warriors roaring fiercely at another became very proud and very loud. O bull of Bharata's race, dreadful was the collision caused by the encounter of the combatants of both armies, filled with joy and staring at one another, and the elephants uttering obstreperous grunts.